again for being like almost entitled to continue. Now it's the time of team reend for the Siemens presentation about the digital fit rate. Alright, so let's see.
I don't have time actually. So you keep watching the time, okay? Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. As Manuel mentioned, my name is T. I'm from Siemens, so then I'll take it off. And first of all, really thank you for having me here because I don't know if you know, but mostly everyone here in this room is a customer of Siemens. Yeah? So I've done customer exchange workshops, O2C, I've done customer exchange workshops for North America, and a lot of different things. Last week I was at Heidelberg for SAP Information Day, and I really do these things quite a lot. But I think really today is much more interesting also from my perspective, because I can give you some insights and share what our journey has been. And I try to make it a little bit interesting, and that's why I've changed a little bit the title, hashtag digital fit rate, the solution, unintended, to our digitalization story. And I don't know if you have heard about the digital fit rate. If you haven't, that's great, because I will actually go into detail, explain all of these things. So to get started, a little bit of myself, so you just know who I am. So I've been with Siemens for 16 years. I come actually from an IT background, 6 years in IT, 10 years then in the commercial area, meaning working in the CFO kind of path, where I'm also at the moment as a head of operational excellence in the digital industries. I've done with the company 14 different moves. Why so many? Because every time I went out, I came back to a different place, so I can double count, that's why. I have a strong affinity to factories. In the life cycle of factories, I've done actually really everything. Set up new companies, closed down factories, restructured factories, and grew factories. So therefore, I guess there's a certain process affinity. You can see already the live IT, finance business, also what we have heard a little bit earlier. I think these things actually fit quite well to this. So I worked in 5 different countries, which means I really have been out there on the trenches, really working with real customers out there, not only in the headquarters, listening about the business we do with customers. And surprisingly, actually just one company, more different kind of assignments, but really I've been with Siemens for all this time. Okay? So, as I mentioned, I do this quite often, and then these are the kind of questions I get. And these questions I can also really answer. I go into detail, and I really have a lot of, let's say, very technical questions. Sometimes I get, let's say, organizational questions, change management questions, and try to answer them. And really, this is also an offer to everyone here. Please just contact me, because in any customer exchange workshop, I have done one-on-ones. I've done with Henkel, with Oetker, with Gettinger, with Rehau, really lots of different companies exchanges, and I also know that the kind of questions you ask in this big group are obviously different if you're on a one-on-one. You can go to deeper level. And every time I have this follow-up, they're not quite there yet. I'm thinking wrong questions or my wrong answers, and it's quite interesting for me also as a learning experience, because maybe you have the same questions, I will give you the same honest answers as we have experienced, but somehow there must be some secret sauce maybe which didn't get across. So what you see here is really a refined kind of presentation I do, and we can really go into the depths and details later. A little bit about the journeys. So I actually have started around 10 months ago to actually create own content on LinkedIn. Because I really think that for me, process mining is life-changing, and I really wanted to share. So it's not just a boilerplate I say because we are great. I really do my own content, and you can see, there's a robot story, there's a complexity story, there's an orchestration story. These are all different chapters in this overall quest, but today I give you the mother of all stories, okay? And just as every good story, as a journey, it's not the destination, it's the path there. We have 3 chapters. I will tell you a little bit of the journey. I will give a demo of O2C, how we use it, just one particular aspect. And then I will also give you an outlook in terms of what we have learned and where we are going next, okay? I will take questions 2 times, just at the end of the journey, before I set up into the demo. After the demo, you probably have some questions as well. And then at the end, we can have basically the open discussion. Yeah? Is that cool? So, apparently what we do is also quite interesting externally. Just on October 15th, we have been featured in the Gartner Symposium in their keynote. Yeah? And they have been talking about the so-called digital twin of organization. So spoiler alert, I already give you kind of the answer where we are headed with that. Okay? And it really made even the top 10 list of strategic trends in 2019. You know, it's really amazing for us, and we're absolutely proud and humbled that the way how we approached it actually made one of the top 10 strategic trends for 2019. Or the hype cycle is going to be created, and I can say, yeah, that's our topic we did. And let them speak for themselves.
Intelligence. Does this sound too complicated? Too futuristic? You might think that a DTO is far too complex to build. And it really will be if you try to do it all at once. What we do know is that companies who are using DTO successfully start small and work incrementally. Siemens is an example of a company that has successfully used DTOs. They shaped a problem by starting small. They created a digital twin of an order-to-cash operation, and they started in one city in Germany by using process mining. And then they shifted their thinking by building process logs from event maps. The process maps then let them monitor ongoing operations and optimize the way the processes worked. Siemens then shared the success of this pilot by applying digital twins to order-to-cash operations in 90 other locations around the world. And they even created a new key performance indicator to track the number of unnecessary human touches in a process. I mean, this is tremendous insight. This is the beauty of using organizational digital twins. It gives you insight you have never had before, and it's continuous insight, allowing you to operate more efficiently and effectively. Siemens also made a huge cultural change that was driven by the digital twin adoption. They created a new social platform where 1,800 order-to-cash employees from around the world shared their knowledge about the DTO. The social platform not only provided visibility into those global operations, but also provided a way for collaboration on process improvements around the globe. Employees felt more engaged and so much more empowered, and the results were absolutely amazing. 24% higher rate of automation, 11% reduction in rework, and 10 million fewer manual touches for sales orders each year.
So the hype is created. Let's see where this topic takes us. But let's go behind the scenes. Yeah, this is the marketing aspect of Gartner. Today you get the behind the scenes and the journey. Okay. So to understand a little bit about Siemens, you have to know that Siemens, big company. And sorry, I didn't bring the slides about the company, but I think that's a pretty fine for today. So we have roughly around 24,000 different users on what we call business intelligence. And obviously, you know, we use different things with one very big startup on our data lake, different kind of technologies, you know, Tableau, Click, Celonis, and even merge them together, okay? My job as well, by other things, is to take care of order to cash for Siemens. We are one of the youngest Celonis applications within Siemens, but we have around 800, 900 active users. Yeah. So we have been with the journey around 2 years now, and we have been really scaling it up from 0 to 500 users within the 3-4 months, and then we have reached a plateau around 1,000, and now it's really like a good consolidation of really being operationalized within our organization. Okay? But that's not the story I'm going to tell today, because I'm not here to give you an aspect of the wow and what Siemens does, and then you're going to fall asleep. That's the truth. Because that story I have told many, many times already. And everyone is always very impressed, but something was missing there. And before I tell the story, we have to really go back into the novel of Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities, which goes, It is the best of times, it is the worst of times. It is the age of wisdom, and it's the age of foolishness. And when you tell a story, I can stand here to teach you by example. And this thing has different kind of aspects. It's also called the case study, it's called the benchmark. It's a reference case. Big customer Siemens here, biggest customer of Celonis, here, this is how we do it. But that's too flat. That's uninspiring and it's not going to help you. It's going to amaze you and you try to make the connection into your own organization, but I can tell you it's not going to work that way. So instead of me being the teacher today, I am actually your student. And today, I just want to learn together with you on how we have done it. I will challenge myself and allow this kind of discussion, because when we know how to tell a story, it's not about finding the answers Siemens did, but asking the right questions. So when you go into our O2C, this is how it looks like. Yeah, one reporting aspect of it. And I, just so you know, it's a 16 months. Yeah, we have always 16 months. It's basically 5 quarters plus 1 more month. Yeah, that's what we load here. And you can see 47 million sales order items and 128 billion euros are going through it, with over 278 million activities I can go. 21 systems, 90 countries, 211 companies, over 240,000 customers, 1.3 million different materials which we have actually sold. All of the different activities you can see here. So what does it mean? It means that we have a transparency which goes beyond imagination. It basically means that we have now answers we did not even dare to ask, because nothing like this existed before. That's a simple matter of fact. However, after 5 minutes, we knew, who cares? So a lot of the customers of Celonis start their process mining journey with transparency. And I'm not saying that transparency is not important. It is a necessary step you need to go through. But you will see that this part, nobody cares. The executive management will ask, so what do I get with that? Because that screen before was very impressive. So what? So other customers who are a little bit further in the process journey say, gee, I know what you're talking about. Obviously, it's about the actionable insights I generate from the transparency, right? Like automation. And I beg to differ as well. And I think whether you hate or love him, Elon Musk really put it right. Humans are underrated. And automation was one of the biggest problems, but they did. So, self-reflecting, I went back, looked at the screen, impressive still, but I knew I had it exactly the wrong way. It was exactly the opposite. And the opposite is that I have imagination that goes beyond the transparency. Because humans are underrated, and the secret sauce is to really flip it around to understand what actually we all do here at the end of the day. Because the secret sauce to really unlock the digital transformation is a human touch. Ironically, it's exactly the thing I should get. I need to automate the processes, but I'm not talking about that human touch. I'm talking about the human touch, meaning all of these core competencies, which enables us to rediscover our humanity. And that is really, really amazing, that technology is actually the enabler of our own humanity. What was the first thing and also the last thing which matters. It's about creativity, it's about collaboration, and it is about communication. And that technology enabled us to focus and accelerate on that thing. Because otherwise, transparency is really this Damocles sword, which is really heavy and really, really ugly sometimes, because you don't know where to start. And if you talk about all of these improvements and ROI and all of these things, trust me, we have this as well, but these are all welcomed positive side effects. I'm not going to talk to you today about the how of a change, but really about the why of a change. And then you will see that I never had to ask these questions I always receive, Because we just did it. We weren't even put into the situation to having to ask a question. We already delivered on the results. And to understand that is that when you really put the human into the center of everything, and you understand that the purpose of business is not efficiency. Efficiency is for robots. I don't know what is the purpose of life, but I like to say that maybe life is the pursuit of happiness. So maybe then business is a pursuit of customer happiness. So if you are really focusing only on your customer, but actually focusing on your own people, in your own organization, then some transformational magic can happen. And because of that, when we started with 12 plus people in our project, I had to really change it and say, no, let's do it another way. We were a lean team of only 3 people, so really it's me, it's Ines and Francisca. 3 people. We traveled 27 countries. We didn't know how long it takes, but we had a global scope. And it took us 5 sprints. And in 1 year, so really in 1 year, us 3 were going around the globe. Yeah, it was quite stressful at times, but very, very good. And what did we do there? Did we train Celonis on how to use the platform? Yes, of course we did as well. But what we did there was to go there with no answers, with one common goal, which I will explain in a little bit, but to ask for ultimate questions. Answers are for machines, questions are for humans. Because we knew that maybe in terms of O2C/Celonis competence we had the most, it's possible. We always knew that we knew nothing, and we need to talk with the local organizations to understand really what's going on without any evaluation. Absolute neutrality, working together, listening to them. So we had a tremendous impact, but the question is how to measure it. Yeah, you can't measure happiness, that doesn't count yet. Yeah. And what we understood is when you want to measure, Celonis actually does give you a lot of things out of the box. However, there is no true KPI. And what do I mean by a true KPI? A true KPI means it must be easily understood and adopted by the organization. It must be so easy that the CEO, CFO, and the order processor know it, believe in it, work for it. And so we created this digital fit rate, which basically just is the number of manual activities divided by the number of sales order items, which basically mean how many times does a human touch the sales order item. The less, the better. If you have 100 items and your digital fit rate is 1.0, means each item you have touched once. And we go through the entire process change from order entry to delivery to billing up to payment. That's what we do. And everybody understands it. And it's automated and it's available. No implementation projects. It is just there and everybody can adopt that. So what does it mean here, KPI? Automation rate is a KPI. Rework rate is a KPI. And we beg to differ. We say no, it's a metric. Every square is also a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. So don't talk about KPIs when they are metrics. A KPI is some figure or ratio which really drives your business. And when it comes to process performance of an order manager, that's what driving the process performance. You can be good in automation rate, but you can be bad in rework rate. So this one KPI captures both aspects. Okay. 4 slides, a sidetrack, because it's a little bit technical now, but I've been asked to say, but actually it wouldn't work if you do this and that. I said, you are right. So I need to actually have now a little bit of a sidetrack, a part of our presentation. Prerequisites, as easy as it sounds, it's just the mindset and the courage. And it's really easy to read, but it's really hard to actually deliver on it every single day. What does it mean? We have something what I call a design principle. Yeah, it's really what I kind of, with my IT knowledge, kind of made up. And this is very provocative, and this is something we can also later discuss. I really say that there can't be any filtering of data before loading it to Celonis. Back end, don't filter it. Front end, do whatever you need to do. When you get started, it doesn't mean for always. But when you get started, don't take away the potential of creativity your people on the trenches can discover. If you take that away due to performance problems, you are going to miss an absolute important step in everything. And I can really speak from experience. Okay. Number 2, absolutely no data mapping, translation, conversion whatsoever. It means you have a system, 27 document types, another system, 13. There's no match over. Just put them all in. Just because your executive management only wants to have it clustered in 5 categories with 5 colors, it does not matter. Give them everything. It's very hard, really. It sounds easy, but it's very hard. I will not map, change any data. I take it as it is, even if it's a blank dot, blank question mark. Yes, I know it. Because if that's a problem for me, I will change it in a source. If I map it already, it's gone. Nobody knows. It looks much better, obviously, but I cannot take away that potential for actual improvement in the source. The next ones are even more provocative. The process activity must only focus on the context, not on the content. What does it mean? Think about a service desk operation where you do tickets and you have ticket open, status, ticket open, in progress, assigned, completed, solved, or whatever. I don't do it. I really just say, ticket, change status, change status, change status, change status. The open, closed, assigned, we read, but that's a different use case. When you want to have a scalable process explorer, keep it as it is. And yes, it's very provocative because I've seen other happy success stories, but I just say change price is change price. I don't care whether it's change price due to currency or due to a unit of sales measurement doesn't do a piece. I keep it as it is. Keep the truth. Become friends with reality. Because that's your data. You don't map, you don't translate, and you don't change. And therefore, and the last one, that's the hardest one, is you have self-defined activities. People ask me, T, how many activities do you have? I know it because I checked 75. But I did not define any single of them. If SAP wants to call it incoming invoice process, it's going to be called incoming invoice process. Not vendor invoice, not whatsoever. But T, these invoices are actually credit notes. I don't care. Invoice is invoice, if the system tells me that. So today I have 75, tomorrow I have 68, and tomorrow I have 80. I don't care. Why? Because of the filter. I don't filter. If I have 85 different activities, it's gonna be in my Celonis. And I don't have to type in how to define that activity, what is the meaning. I just take it in. Because if it's important, we would see it anyway. If it's not important, let's not work on the last 99.999%. A tremendous change in the thinking, also working together with IT. So, are you saying to you that records goods issue, you have actually hundreds of activities, because records goods issue, depending on the movement type, will actually have a different text? Yes, exactly. And I didn't filter it. But once it was in the system, it didn't have any value. Yeah, so I can filter it out. Also okay. But we had a common understanding of absolute scalability. What does it mean? This is a picture I also use quite often now. It means standardization in the year 2018. Standardization for me does not mean everyone has to eat the same. It also doesn't mean that you have an extremely well put a la carte and then you can change and configure. No, it's a buffet. And what does it mean? It means that not about eating the same at the buffet. I don't force the plate, but I enable the choice. You want chocolate pudding with fish, you have it because I provided it. Somebody else wants to have abalone, seafood. I don't have it. Let's talk about it. But if we put it in, it's there for everyone. That is the standardization of context, not the content. We are playing on this repository of different things, and therefore, now coming back, I can really show you, you can't read it, but I can actually read it to you. It's 5, 6 different tables. That's my data model for O2C. And you will find the VBUC and VBUC and VBKD and nothing else. And every field there is 150 different columns. It doesn't matter. I take them all. Okay? That's our approach on the source. And because of that standardization, we unlock the creativity of people making their own use cases and which kind of combination it is important to look at their business. And in order to get that message across, we also have on our own, let's call it Siemens YouTube, a channel where we are recorded every training session which we did online, and we have different kind of levels, hashtag O2C, and then you can see really, I don't know, 50, 60 videos by now, where we go from vidlets of 1 minute up to 1 hour hardcore training on IDOC processing status 51 and where are the user exits in SAP and V45A. This is the level we are talking about. In addition, that is what the Gardner lady has mentioned, we have basically our own Facebook, where we have a community of over 1,800 people, and this is basically my demand requirement board. I say, hey, we did this, you like it, it's cool, it's now productive. Somebody asks a question, it becomes our requirement paper. No steering committees, no nothing, daily bills in the productive. It's there. This is how we keep the community. And on top of that community, we can then, using a FAQ, make the community contributors. You are not a participant in the way that you are viewing, you become a content creator yourself. So people ask a question, I don't need to go in and answer it, but I basically leverage a community. Other people are actually answering that question for other people. Okay? And then, to top it off, we also have something like a fake Scrum board, Kanban board, where we have each and every topic in the pipeline visible to everyone. You want to see what we are working on? Here it is, and you can see how things moving from to do in progress and done. Okay. That is how you are leveraging the community. And therefore, now coming back, these 5 lines of code, the digital fit rate, the presentations we provided, you don't need to take photos, is open. With these 5 lines of code, which by the way to implement took 5 minutes, because 4 minutes to get the coffee and celebrate, and 1 minute to implement it. It was available for our biggest countries like China, US, Germany, but Namibia and Zimbabwe as well. One data model for the entire world, regardless that we have 20 different SAP systems. So what does it mean? Yes, it does mean that it can work and will work in your environment as well. 0Z, 0Y, 100% SAP standard. In 5 minutes out of a content store, if we had one in Siemens, you could just get it and it would work with you. So, coming closer to the end of the first part, before I go into the demo, transparency out of a box, right? You have it all, you love it as well as we do, and the digital fit rate basically is to measure the performance. But I can't stress it often enough. The real magic, the secret sauce, which was here, is obviously the people and the organization, and our digital fit as a very random occurrence. This is Francisca, Ines, and T, myself, and it really fits with our initials of the name. So digital fit, FIT, must have been a very nice random occurrence, and then you can see that we use it really around the world, and it is in place. So, if you need to take back something to your management, you can't talk about creativity, collaboration, all of this, right? So I prepared it already for you as presented to management. So the real important part is collaboration experts having a dedicated project, which is, now you know, my real job. I don't do Celonis, I don't do order to cash. I'm the program lead for a project called Order Management for Tomorrow. We envision how are we going to work in the sales back office in the future. And we were lucky to have a technology out of the box, to have transparency, to really talk to people on a very respectable way and really evaluate what they're doing every day without having to ask stupid questions. And the performance indicator to really merge all of these things together, because that's a common goal. Get the digital fit rate down. Because the less, the better. And then the question, of course, always arises, but gee, that's also still metrics, KPIs, whatever you want to talk. Do you really have tangible benefits? Yes, we do. Yeah. We have over 2 million euros in savings year on year accumulated on top. Yeah. And as you saw earlier, also 15 million overall in Celonis. Yeah. So for us, the business case really calculates itself, and we don't spend time on that, really. We just focus on the people, how we can drive these things together, and really it is a lot of fun. So, before I go into the demo, any questions on that journey? Let's take maybe 2-3 questions, 5 minutes if you want. If not, then I will go on to this. Yes.
Have you ever been in the situation in order to cache that you missed some data because not everything was in SAP?
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, Ines probably can't hear the anecdote anymore, but obviously in Siemens we are working with very different kind of business types. So in a system solution business, you don't have so many line items. So think about trains. So I go to the head of mobility for the process improvement and says, let me see your data model, great, and he sees 7 line items. And he says, oh, I know the 7 line items, I can give you the name of each and every train. Yeah? And then he looks into the 7 line items and says, wow, 20 times great change price. For me, that's a nightmare. For him, he was laughing. And he asked me, T, do you really think that we changed the price 20 times? No, we didn't. We changed it 500 times. But where? On the phone, in the email, the dinner table, at the lunch table, in the car. But 20 times we put it into SAP. So the data trail is important. If you don't have a data trail, we don't need to talk about that. Yeah? I think that is something we really need to understand. But what we can do, though, is to ring fence things. At the end of the day, you have to create it in your system. At the end of the day, you also need to get the money. So if your cycle time is then the driver, not the automation or the reward, it's already very good insight as well. Yeah. So you need to find your own digital fit rate of what is your KPI which drives your business. Yeah. And there is really one company, it's called DICE in Sweden. You know, they do first-person Ego shooter online. And they have one KPI. It's a really big wall, a counter, and it's called kills. Because that's the only thing which matters in that arena. How many kills? And then they have 1,000 metrics of kills per country, kills per new subscribers, kills per old players, kills per new players. That's metrics. But they have only one KPI. That number of kills must increase. Just as we have our own KPI, which is called digital fit rate, must go down. And the way to it, we let the countries decide for themselves. Okay? Every CFO has targets. We have it automated in all the quarter meetings. Digital fit rate is institutionalized. So our executive management is talking about the digital fit rate. How they got there, people usually don't know, but it's also not important. But do they know the drivers? Yes, they do. And then us three, for the entire world, we do basically the trench work in the trenches. Any other question? No? Okay, I'm going to enter into the pre-recorded video, and the reason why it's pre-recorded is 2 reasons. Number one, to cut loading times, but much more importantly, to be able to show you as much as possible. And therefore I had to pre-record it to also hide certain things, right? I will not stop the video, that's 3 minutes 58, and I will talk quite fast. There are some questions then later, okay? So, in all its glory, 2018, 36 million line items, yeah? So you can see I already separated a little bit the data model for this video. And as you can see, all of this really impressive things, yada, yada, yada. Yeah? But what I mentioned earlier, which is really, really important, is to understand that you can see each and every line item up to the ones which are only happening hundreds of times or even just 2 times. I don't care, no filter. But what I said earlier was what? You can filter in the front end. Yeah, so let's do it. So you see the activities are clustered. And I have others, and I just take it out. So you will see that the standard activities now will not be scrolled, but it's only going to be ending up somewhere here, because I only want to look at certain activities. And why is that important? Because the order manager is not responsible for the approved credit check or the credit limit, but other activities. So we filter out here these 28 or 32 activities because these are going to be included in the digital fit rate to make it relevant, to provide the context. And with that, I can immediately go into all of these things, which is extremely motivational to go into a ranking. Because if you can imagine, we do this for the entire world, and then you can see who is number one, yeah? Netherlands, Sweden, Finland, Germany. And you can also see the respective automation rates and rework rates. And that is really key. You need to be good in both to be there. And yes, you can also, without changing the selection, change the point of view. So if you want to not go by countries, you of course can go now, for example, by business segments, because that is more meaningful for a different use case. Yeah? So we don't ask, is it for countries, for by month or whatever, it's all in there. And then one-stop shop dashboards for management. Works on an iPad as well. So what you see here is in the bars, the number of sales order items in this selection around 1 million and so on. You can see how on a monthly basis the automation rate has gone up from 59 to 68, and you can see how the rework rate has gone down from 29 to 22. So what? Automation rate up, rework rate down means, yes, you guessed it, the digital fit rate went down from 144 to 0.87. And you can imagine with 100 millions of activities, that makes a lot of impact. And then, if you really need to, you can go into each and every detail of the metric or the dimension, automation rate, rework rate. Hell, we even have a section where you can go into the IDOCs, yeah? Because some CFOs, they come from an IT background, and they really love that. And we also have a cycle time. You can even choose which activity you want to see, and then also see it by days or hours, out of the box. This thing took 5 minutes, yeah? But that's a one-stop shop to really have the transparency. And saving the best for last. We take the same order table and then just put some colors onto it. So here, you see exactly still the same selection. I didn't change anything. And you can see how we went from 1.44 to 0.87. Have all the one KPI and the other metrics, even the automation rate on an activity itself. So what does that mean? Yes, exactly. It means what I meant with a robust data model. You have the KPI and can see the automation rate and rework rate for everything. We take the most complex thing there is and then hide the complexity, but it's there. Every change request, I can say it's already there. And we do the same thing for all the things in the dimension. You wanted to see it by month, now you can see it by each and every country. And bang, that's a different kind of transparency in a use case. You now see each and every country, and you can really see even on an activity level where there is a mathematical potential. And if you want to, you can go into one country. I'm just selecting it for the performance issue. You can even go based on one single customer. Because maybe if you're working as a order processor in a country, you have different customers you need to take care of. And then you have this kind of insight. The picture changes interactively, dynamically, what we love about Celonis, right? And then I'm just going to do Control minus to zoom out. And what happens? What happens is you now go to the core and DNA of really being able to pick out even that one yellow thing because everyone else was green in all the different kind of dimensions. And that is so important to understand that process mining is a transparency beyond imagination. But when we are creative, when we can rediscover what it means to be a human, then we understand that the imagination goes beyond transparency. And yes, you imagine, they have hackathons now, teams, which are going into the horizontal by one customer, while another team goes by one activity to see across the customers where do I need to improve my auto PO? And who's going to meet first at that red thing down there? That's what they do. They love it. Transparency is not the ugly stepsister of data mining. Process mining is not the ugly stepsister of data mining anymore. Transparency is not the big downward sword, but it's something which is in a very optimistic way fun because they can see the transformation of a process quality and performance on a daily basis. Any questions to the video? Because then I come to the last part. Yes?
I've got two questions.
Sure.
So one, you said no filtering. I'm really intrigued about that. So are you then, when you do your country visits or whatnot, are you helping them to build their own dashboards in countries to say, okay, this is how you could filter, or put in business rules for that particular country? Or?
No. So when I talk about filtering, I really mean data model.
Right.
When you're filtering in the front end, that's for me self-service.
Right.
So what we basically did is they do not need to create one dashboard because we have created all the potential complexity we believe they needed.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, really, the change request the countries are asking is very limited, but when they do, we also love it. Yeah, the heat map was actually, let's say, done because a country showed us what they do with the downloads on Excel. And we said, no, we're not going to do this in Celonis, you don't need that. Yeah? These are the rare cases, but incredibly huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, this no filtering is really meant on the data model behind. Yeah? If you talk about CDPOS and you go into AUART, which is Auftragsart, I don't care if it's a Lieferplan, Consi, or whatever. Take it all in, filter it later, separate it, make a use case, I don't know. But don't hinder your discovery from the beginning on.
How do you deal with performance in that case? Because I remember once we loaded something and it just came to a grinding halt.
I mean, it would be a lie if I say that performance is not an issue. Yeah. So yes, I have to have this talk with IT from time to time. But the thing is that while there is a lot of complaints about performance, it's the only complaint actually our users have at the moment. Yeah. So if it's known, if it's well communicated, but they have this kind of value, it's actually quite acceptable. And you have to understand, like, not many people have this view as I showed, right? They have one country, one SAP system, or things like that.
So do you use these dashboards for figuring out potential for RPA, or how do you use that?
We actually, which I don't show because I think that is a chapter for itself, I have an own analysis to actually identify potential RPA use cases.
But it looks similar, no? Because I've seen a dashboard that was also like green, yellow, and red.
No, actually it's really different. Yeah, it is really different. Yeah, just a long story short, it basically has two axes. One is the absolutes, one is the percentage. So if you are highly manual in numbers and highly manual in percentage in the right-hand corner, then it's a bigger use case. And the reason is, I mean, you can read the story on LinkedIn, I wrote about it. And it's very funny because I was also invited by Blue Prism to speak on their Blue Prism World. And I said, I'm the Antichrist, they're RPA, you guys know that, huh? And I said, no, we really want to hear a customer because we use everything. Yeah? We use Blue Prism automation anywhere and you add RPA. And I said, no, it cannot be process mining or RPA, it must be process mining and something else. Yeah? And you really need to have a clear visibility of your processes before you start to do the RPA thing. And it's very ironic because I'm also somebody who's really proposing very much the topic of a digital workforce, along with the digital twin of organization, obviously.
Yeah, and then there's a question on the filtering piece. So you said everyone is getting full transparency, can I see everything? But then I think you nuanced it already a bit. So there is authorization levels in what people can see, obviously, I suppose.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So what we are saying is that authorization level in transaction system always supersedes. And we have, of course, have a nice tool which aligns these authorizations. It's technically possible to have too many authorizations, but on the other hand, we know that Celonis actually is only showing what you anyway have.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why, in terms of legal issues, there's actually really no
topic at all. True that everyone can see everything.
No, it's not at all. But actually due to performance, not due to the authorization part. Due to performance, we actually limit the the data of what the user wants to see. So in other words, if I'm working only in one operating company, I only give that operating company, meaning the user, when he goes into the tool, does not need to select operating company because it's a one-on-one kind of selection.
Who owns the benefits realization?
I mean, like in any big corporation, of course, when something fails, you finger point, right? If you are successful, everyone wants to be on the picture, so everyone. Yeah, I cannot explain it. I mean, obviously, if you talk about where are the primary benefits, obviously it's in the region. The region needs less resources, but in terms of governance and everything, you know, it's really left pocket, right pocket. That's not really the issue.
I don't know how Siemens is structured internally, so basically if you have one regional, one country head who's responsible for the order handling, the production, whatsoever, but I asked myself the question, how do you get the accountability in for that part? Because if you have that topic of rework and that topic of changes in the custom order, you're dependent on so many different areas. I mean, breaking the silos, yes, but who's accountable for the result? And this is something that I asked myself, who is the one you're visiting in the different countries? Do you visit basically the one who's responsible for the order handling, who's basically at the end of the food chain? Or do you have a regional country head who's responsible for all of the business? So coming from that part, I try to translate it to our world, basically who my contact partner would be theoretically.
Very quick. Siemens, 6 divisions, just to make it simplified. If you look it up, you're wrong. But let's say 6 divisions. Yeah? Something from healthcare up to product business, selling products in the automation industry, discrete industry, process industries. Okay? We are talking to the people in charge of product business. And it is true that the digital fit rate could be negatively impacted by something which we can't change, what you're not responsible for. But instead of finding that responsible, because that takes much longer than to actually improve a process. So that's why we also love to actually talk about O2C and not about sales, regional order management, procurement, logistics. It doesn't matter. When we go into the region, we basically say who does VA01, who does ME21N, who is actually going VA02, changing the price, who is actually doing VK12 to maintain the conditions. This is the language we want to talk about. Actually, I go to this topic in a little bit as well. Sure.
So I assume that this approach only works if it's pushed down from the real top?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. Absolutely
not.
No.
So by just providing transparency to the end user, you manage to get so many people on board?
Yeah, because I got Ines and I got Francie, who have done this for over 10 years in their life. I had a team of over 12 very well-respected colleagues in my team, and it didn't work because they were responsible for a lot of things, but they didn't know how to do it. So I kidnapped them from the actual order management and said, do you want to work in a team? We got nice tools, we got this, and then we go there, and then there's a different language. Process mining is cool because they know that Ines also talked to the customer and has posted over millions of order items in her life. And they really know where the problems really lie. Yeah? You know, remember the heat map? Yeah? I always play the game. I'm going to write down where I think you should click next to do a deep dive. And they do the same. In 100% of the cases, I'm always wrong. Always. And that's good. Remember earlier, no answers. But we ask the right question. When we look at change price, technically speaking, there's only 3 different things which can happen. A becomes B, A becomes 0, or 0 becomes A. Yeah? But if you think about A becomes B, you have at least 4 different topics. It could be due to a fixed integer, which is maybe a pack or piece, a dozen or a meter topic. When you go into a fixed ratio, 1.32, could be a conversion topic of a currency. Who is there to do this domain knowledge? It's not you. It's not the global process head or whatever. Like any good consultant, it's not what they know, but what questions they ask. And that's our job. We ask the relevant questions. How they are going to address the topic of change price is totally up to them. That's why, sorry to pick on that. Earlier when we saw the no-go, high impact, and then on the right-hand side we saw the activity change price, I totally disagree because that's Taylorism. It didn't work out 1920. If you look at one process step which takes 80% of your time, 80% of your manual rework, yes, you are very much inclined to go there. But you know what your people on the front line will say? I know that anyway without your tool, and you know that this is only true because of these guys not doing their master data. I'm just a victim that in step A is that, in step B is that, in step C, which is change price, it's now visual. We would never say change price is a main activity because you can see 75% of all your manual rework is change price. We would never do that because we have experienced change price in our lives every day and we know what could be potential root causes, so we ask questions. We just change the wording and ask, is that due to a frame agreement to a particular set of distributors? Hey, that's a different language, isn't it? That's why I was so skeptical at that part related to the action engine. How do you get the digital brain? That's what I'm working, digital twin of organization. What is digital twin at the end of the day? Simulation, right, on steroids. I want to simulate 50,000 million different variations. What would happen if I take this person out and do this? Would it go quicker? These are the things I'm working on. Automated, yes. Less rework, hopefully. But asking the right questions is important. Yeah? I mean, this is also what I always say. I want to be the cash collector in Japan because customers actually do self-billing before I even send out an invoice. Culture matters, yeah? And if I just join this into this presentation, it's exactly, in English, it's a carrot and a stick, or in German, it's a Zuckerbrot and Peitsche. And what I want to say is local knowledge matters. If we have people out there every day with the customers, why don't we listen to them? They know exactly when to apply the carrot and when exactly to apply the stick. So if they know how to send a dunning letter 3 times and they don't care about the detection of late payment, they know it. They just didn't have a real way of getting there. This is what we enable, this kind of language. The new language using process mining means this is based on data, it's statistically, factually right, but what is the meaning? What is the why? This is what we're doing as humans. Talking to each other, showing compassion, empathy. These are the things.
Is it just for order to cash at Siemens, or is there other processes?
We have other processes there, but they have different approaches, so I can't.
Do they have a different approach to the approach you've adopted?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, but technically it doesn't have to.
No, not at all.
It's, because you feel comfortable with it and you kind of are successful.
Yeah. And then this is really important. Yeah, really one of the key messages here. Look at the best performing units. They don't care about O2C. And they're right. Every time I talk to them, I say, you and your O2C, I don't care about it. But thank you for telling me that I'm great. I have a digital filter of 0.06. It means 100 line items, 94 of them I don't even see. I touch these 6 only once. In reality, it's actually 3 line items I touch twice. One thing goes bad, 2 things go bad. They are that good. I just cherry picked on one customer. They have 8 accounts, okay? But it's really one customer, big account, 62 million euros. But you can see the automation rate is really in the 9800 and all of this. And how do they do that? They have the right mindset. They don't care about O2C because O2C is our O2C. They care about the customer's P2P. And that's why I really love this slide. It's totally anonymous. You can't back engineer because my selection is very different. That is you in us. That's you, all of you here. I selected different accounts. And I can tell you that there is a customer where I have a lot of happiness with 0.42, where I actually, for the half of it, I don't need to do anything. Yeah? And then there are other customers where I need to touch 3 times. Nothing is automated, basically. Rework is low because it's manual. But I can't give you the sales order item in my system automatically. Just in 6% I can do the purchasing internally automatically. Yeah. And that is what matters. And I really believe that my O2C with your P2P, that there can be magic. And we did that with Sugar, because one of the other Celonis customers, they actually have, due to their SAP 4 HANA, they have Celonis on steroids in real time. I do it every day. They do it in real time. Can you imagine what it means to do real time? They say, T, I'm gonna send you a change price right now, probably. Yeah? And then we can actually look at that. And it's really, really interesting to see this insight, because there is a direct correlation between your happiness of P2P with my happiness in O2C. And I need to focus only on your P2P. So if you really need Ariba, I understand and I don't like that. But it's basically our failure to providing you with a nice and easy way of ordering with us. That's the bottom line. So, coming to an end, last topic, really dear to me. You can see I'm very passionate about this topic. Think about a book. Yeah, big book. You miss a comma. I think it's still a great book. Yeah, I mean, Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace, great book. But think about missing a comma in the rocket start sequence. Millions of dollars wasted. People died. And just imagine, like the scene in the movies, where the general comes to the doorstep and talks to the wife and says, "Dear man, your son is a hero, he died because of a detail." No, I think that doesn't work. So we need to differentiate the comma in the book with the comma in the rocket start sequence. And this is what I call the so-called PowerPoint layer, where I really need to talk with management on these topics, like we need to have portals and electronic ordering, integration, data pools, and whatever you have. That's lovely, but nothing happens there, even if you talk a lot about it. And we talked about it many, many years. What really matters is the work bottom up related to all of these things. Because if only one thing goes wrong, you have one hit in the digital fit rate, right? One touch. Text, making a block, you need to remove a block, one hit. Incoterms, wrong, need to change it. And this is the world where we are living in. So coming now to really to your question, can it only work with top down? No. Let's try to approach a formula. If you're really worried about the content, let's do it bottom up. If you're worried about the motivation and the drive, it's top down. But the magic to have true scalability and speed is only if you do bottoms up and top down at the same time. That's basically the thing. Yeah? And that is where I can conclude nearly. When you look at dispersed systems and you have experts, your process mining colleagues, they can really work with apples and oranges, because apples and oranges are fruit. But what they cannot do is work with cucumbers and frogs just because they are green. Be courageous to your management, and you saw it earlier. Just because you do not understand me doesn't mean that I'm wrong. From time to time, they need to understand what is there, because I'm not getting paid to lie. I'm getting paid to give results, true results. And I can have a way to measure it by the digital fit rate. And how we got there, that's our job, to work really with the colleagues in the regions. And that's why we can really dive into all of this. Do I remember everything what's going on in each and every country? No. But what I can tell you, sometimes I get the organization question, it's really just us three. Us three for the entire digital factories, process drives industry, which is around 20 billion of Siemens. That's basically what we are responsible for in terms of order to cash. So, in closing, LinkedIn, Twitter, as I said, you can follow our stories. There are really different chapters on it. You can even search on it in Google. We are having very successful SEO for the topic digital fit rate, and also feel free to contact me. Thank you.